Welcome everyone. Let's start with a new session on writing task 1. So as most of you recommended and requested that we would like to see a session on diagrams, because when it comes to writing task 1, some of us find it really challenging and we do not know how to jot down the main points. What should we address? So let's begin with our session. But before we move on, please do like, share, and subscribe to the Learning platform. This is a platform which is always for the student benefits. You can learn or brush up your English, your skills, your linguistics to the core. And for that, let us help you. So without any further delay, let's move on to this session. And as I said, today we are going to work on a diagram. Now, what does a diagram do? A diagram basically depicts a process, how something is done in a step-by-step process. This is what we should address when we write down a report also. So, the different type of visual inputs that we may get in IELTS can be a bar graph, table, a diagram that depicts a process, line graph, maps, pie chart, or multiple graphs, or we always call it as combination chart, right? So in this session, let's understand how can we score well and definitely get our desired band score. Now, as I mentioned that today we are going to work on a process, let's understand the criteria also on the basis of a process. When a process is given to you as a visual input, how you'll be given a band score. So the first is task achievement. Now, when we write a task, especially for a process, let me write process that is given to you. What should we take care of? We must cover all the important points given in the task. So because you are depicting a process, you are writing the step-by-step process of, a given visual input. You need to cover all the points, all the steps. Then ensure the minimum word length. So every IELTS report has to be written in a minimum word length of 150 words. But what is our target? What do we recommend? 170 to 190 words. This is needed to get your desired band score. After this, present a clear overview. Now, some students, they think that, okay, this is a diagram where I have to depict a process. So why do we need an overview paragraph? No, that is a blunder, guys. We have to give an overview paragraph. And in this session, you will understand what should we quote in the overview paragraph, right? Then clearly present and highlight all the key features. So the step-by-step process, what are the things that we observe? What is the thing that we see the most? We must notify all these points. After this, when we talk about coherence and cohesion, of course, the logical flow of the report is important. The entire report should come up in a structured manner. When we talk about the paragraphs, because you are writing a process, it may have 4 to 5 paragraphs, right? Then organize the information logically. So the introduction paragraph, after that we need the overview, then we need 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs to talk about the process. Therefore, the exact location, or should I say the exact order of the paragraphs is mandatory. And of course, when we try to connect our ideas, we must use linkers. So in order to get a higher mark on the cohesive devices, we must use linkers in the process, right? So if something is on a similar note, so similarly, likewise, also, moreover, right? If something is not on the same norms of a particular process, then we can say on the contrary. On the other hand, however, right? We must use these devices. After this, when we talk about the lexical resource covers, or I always say it must have the use of wide range of vocabulary. So if our vocabulary is very simple and basic, or if it is very repetitive, we cannot score well here. Then the vocabulary should convey the appropriate meaning. Now, if I say that the second process follows a similar change like the first one. Now, similar change means that there is, a similar property, that we see something on a same note. But if it is contradicting, how come my answer is correct, right? If the color of the particular product in the first step is blue and it remains blue in the second step also, the color is similar, right? Or the color is same. But if it turns black, I cannot use similar, right? Then use collocations. So we can use collocative devices like, whenever it comes to any type of report, I recommend the students to use collocations such as the go-getter ones, or, catch a view. These type of words, they really help us to give better meaning to our statement. Then be particular about the spellings. If you think that the spellings for a particular word are incorrect, use another word. Try to replace the word rather than giving a high vocabulary word which is incorrect in meaning or in spellings. Then when it comes to grammar, of course, we need to be careful about the tenses. But when we talk about the process, guys, remember majorly all the processes are mentioned in present tense or maybe the present continuous. Then use a range of structures. So, of course, complex sentences, compound sentences, that is what we recommend to all our students. The use of passive voice. When you talk about something, all these associated terms are necessary. So how should we write a report? What is the correct structure of a report? Some students, they make a blunder. They think that, okay, now this is a process. I will quickly write down 4 paragraphs because Minimum always says write a 4-paragraph structure. Of course, we can write 4 or 5-paragraph structure for the report, but the use of correct paragraphs has to be there. So the first paragraph must mention what is the visual input, what is the process. So paraphrase of the question prompt, that is important. We must paraphrase the question. The given diagram depicts the step-by-step process of, right? That's how we can begin our report. And we must mention how the values given is something measured in rupees, dollars, pounds. But of course, when it comes to a map, we do not have any values given, right? In 99% of the cases, there are no values mentioned. So if there's there's no need to worry. You don't have to force it. Then the second paragraph, overview is must. If you do not have this overview paragraph, again, you're going to lose your marks. So what will the overview paragraph tell us? It will talk about maybe the number of steps involved. The steps are, there are 4 different steps, 5 different steps. What is there given in the visual input, right? Maybe how the process begins, what is the raw material, what is the end product? You can mention that, right? And then from paragraph 3, we start the process. So first step of the process should be given here, how the process begins, right? So maybe you can include the first step with maybe 2 more steps. Let's assume that a given visual input has 7 different steps, right? So we can give 3 steps here. First step plus 2 more steps. After that, maybe you want to give 4 steps here, or maybe 2 steps which are extremely elaborate. They can come here, right? So first step, second step, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7. Last 2 steps here in the 5th paragraph. Now, writing a 5th paragraph is not mandatory. Please remember, you can write it, you may not write it. It is completely your choice. But this does not mean that you eliminate any step. We have to mention each and every step in the paragraphs. So what should we do here? When we have to mention everything, we must make sure that we only, maybe I want to write only 4 paragraphs. So in that case, I will give 3 steps here and the remaining 4 steps, if it is a 7-step process, in the 4th paragraph, right? But I cannot eliminate it that, okay, I just want to write a 4-paragraph report. Now, another important thing which I've observed recently is that many students do not dedicate correct amount of time when they write a report. See, guys, we have to consume only 20 minutes to write a report of, let's say, roughly 170 words. All right, we have to write 170 plus words. How should I divide my time? First, the first step is you should invest 2 to 3 minutes to understand the process. Because if we spend this time, we will never forget any important step, right? After that, once you're done with these initial 2 to 3 minutes, write your report in maybe 12 to 13 minutes. And after that, spend last 5 minutes on correction. If you follow this time management, nothing can go wrong in the examination. So if we take, if you want to divide your 20 minutes in this manner, I would really appreciate that, right? Because this is important. This is necessary, everyone. So what should we do? How do we try to ace the task? So in order to ace the task or to get our desired score, what should we do? We try to use linkers. This is what I recommended. Words such as moreover, however, on the contrary, although. Then take care of your spellings and punctuation. If we try to correct these things, even in the last 5 minutes, when we check our task, we can actually improve our band score with a +1 or at least a 0.5. Take care of grammar, of course, improve your tenses and cover all the requirements of the task. Don't leave any points or do not drop out any particular process or step. Let's have a look at the question. Now here, the question is depicting a step-by-step process. The process below shows how drinking water is made using solar power. Summarize the information. Of course, it will also have an instruction that you have to write a report, which is of 150 words, a standard one that is given. Right? Now, how do we know that this is using solar power? This is already given in the question. What all do we observe here? Sun is there. We can see that there's a solar controller, right? And from the solar controller, there is this pump. So obviously the solar controller produces electricity. Then the pump starts working. water is pumped from the ground level, isn't it? This is the water level. After pumping, this water is brought to the wooden filter. Then it is further filtered and the water becomes drinkable. The drinkable water is placed on a wooden platform. Then there's a tap which is attached to this container. And then there's a movable container, maybe for transportation or for sending out this water, distributing it for the drinking purpose, right? Now, how many steps do we observe here? I will call it step number 1, solar power, right? The sun getting absorbed through the solar panel, the sun energy, the solar energy, then it gets converted into electricity, right? And after that, the pump starts working, the water is pumped here, drinkable water, yes, it is filtered, moved out of the tap, movable container. Now, if I look at it, of course, we can see so many things here, but what are the major processes? I cannot, name each and every one, but we need to understand what is the major process which is taking place. So, first, we try to give the introduction paragraph. The given process diagram demonstrates the end-to-end procedure of converting groundwater into water that is fit for drinking using energy from the sun. Right? This is what is happening right now. Now, here we can, obviously, when I say groundwater, I am not wrong because this is what is shown here. From where is it pumping? It's very much well understood that from the ground level. But remember, everyone, when something is given on a basic level, now like here we can see it is at ground level. I cannot use the word well, lakes, right? Because something like this is not labeled. So remember, we have to use the basic terminology. We cannot come up with our own ideas here. After this, what is the striking feature? What should we put in the overview? When we write the overview, we try to give the step-by-step process. So overall, it is seen that solar power can be effectively utilized to convert polluted and contaminated groundwater into potable water, which is safe for human consumption, primarily drinking. The process consists of 3 main stages: electricity generation, water pumping, and filtration. Isn't it? These are the 3 major steps that with the help of the solar panel, electricity is produced. After the electricity is produced, water is pumped, and then it is filtered for drinking purposes, right? For human consumption only. So when we look at this process, we know what is the step-by-step procedure. After writing the introduction and the conclusion. So what do we see here? We can see the introduction paragraph and we can see the overview paragraph. Right? Remember, these 2 are mandatory. So if you look at a process, please don't start writing it straight away that, okay, the process is this, it has so many steps, and then let me write the report. No, it has to follow the structure. All right, now let's move on to the major features. So we have talked about the major features. We have also addressed that there are 3 major points here. What are the 3 major points? That electricity is produced, water is pumped, and then later it is filtered for human consumption. How do we elaborate these points? Let's have a look. So, firstly, when the sun shines onto the solar panels, its energy is absorbed by the panel cells and converted into electricity, which then passes through a solar controller and is utilized to operate a pump. We gave this reason, right? The pump pulls up the water from the ground, which subsequently passes through a water filter to remove all the impurities and contaminants from it. As a result, the water which comes out of the filter is pure drinking water, which is collected into a huge tank placed on a wooden platform. All this is covered. But what is remaining for us? This. Finally, a tap in the lower half of the tank is used to fill up movable containers with drinking water for supply to the end users. Right? Now here, some students, they generally make a mistake. Instead of writing end users, they can write in nearby colonies. This is a blunder. Again, when nothing is mentioned of this nature, we cannot use any statement of this nature, right? I cannot say whether it is, sent to colonies, it is sent for further supply in the colonies through pipelines. No, we will not try to indulge in something which is not given to us, right? So always remember the step-by-step process, and the step-by-step process says the first paragraph is the introduction, right? And the introduction mentions what is the given visual input. Is the visual input a bar graph, a line graph, a pie chart, a diagram which depicts a process? So it should stand clear that the given process diagram demonstrates the end-to-end procedure of converting groundwater into water that is fit for drinking using energy from the sun, or here I can even say using solar energy. So energy from the sun gives me more words to add to my word length, right? After this, we come to the overview paragraph. So the overview paragraph will mention what is this process majorly. So overall, it is seen that the solar power can be effectively utilized to convert polluted and contaminated groundwater into potable water, which is safe for human consumption, primarily drinking. The process consists of three main stages: electricity generation, water pumping, and filtration, right? And then why did I use, most of you might be wondering, ma'am, how come you are using the word primarily for drinking? Because drinking water is given here in the diagram. Therefore, I'm using it. It's not out of my own imagination. After this, we come to the third paragraph, which can give us details for different steps. So the third para is for details on the steps, and fourth para also for details on the steps, right? So I hope this visual input is clear, and this is a simple strategy which we need to follow for any type of visual input that is given to us when it is a diagram, of course, a diagram which is depicting a process, right? If this diagram must have had a few more steps, I may write a fifth paragraph also. That will be fine, right? Or I can even split this particular paragraph. I may write, let's say, till here as my third paragraph. As a result, water which comes through the filtration, I can shift this to the fourth paragraph also and add more length to the fourth paragraph, right? So it is a simple step-by-step process which is given for a diagram. So Please join Learning for more such videos, for such live streaming. And I would like to see if there are any messages. All right. We'll be sending a reply to all the messages also. So guys, please remember, these classes are for you, for your good. Please write it in our inbox, write it in the chat box. What type of visual inputs would you like to see? If you have any questions that you want us to write a report or an essay for, maybe a particular question on reading and listening, we are all ears. We would love to help you out. So please do like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel of Learning. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye-bye.